I gotta open with a question. How many of you have been in a hostel before? Excellent. Well, for those of you who've been in hostels before, welcome back. And for those of you who have not, you are in one of the finest hostels in the United States. My name is Russ Hedge. I'm the CEO of Hosteling International USA. We're a nonprofit organization that promotes intercultural understanding and tolerance through travel. It's a pretty fun job. Basically what we do is we bring travelers from around the world together to stay in hostels like this one in Richmond. But there's an add-on to that. We also invite the community in, both through programs and activities, to engage with the international travelers, to give them a sense of who Richmond is and who Richmonders are, as well as to give Richmonders a peek at who these international residents are or international travelers are, and so that they can learn more about each other's attitudes and their beliefs and making the world a little better place. I'd like to start today by recognizing and thanking the mayor for coming here today and joining us. It's very, very important to us to have community support for what we do, and the mayor's presence here is much appreciated. I'd also like to introduce Councilman Parker Agelesto. There we go. Thank you very much. Delegate Lamont Bagby. And Secretary of the Commonwealth, LeVar Stoney. Council member John Belials was here earlier. He stopped by. We appreciate that. He had to leave. As a community-based organization, we understand that what we're trying to accomplish is much more than building a building. It's about the people that are inside the building, our travelers, but the people in the community that come together to support the hostel. It's midweek. I expect that most of our volunteers, there are 40 of them, are on their jobs, but are there volunteers in the room? If you could raise your hands. Let's give them a hand. We had volunteers involved in this project from 3 different states, but I would like to specifically acknowledge some Richmond pioneers who were very involved in this hostel from the start. Faye Hager. Faye. Jennifer Wampler, Sarah Wissiger, and Bernie and Charlotte Leroy. I'm losing my mic here, but hopefully my voice is carrying. These are people that have spent the last 10 years trying to find a building that worked, trying to raise the money to make the building that is currently the hostel as it stands today. Finally, before introducing the mayor, I'd like to thank all of our High USA employees that are here today. Could you raise your hand, please? So, as I explained, High USA is a nonprofit organization. We have hostels, 50 hostels around the country. Large cities, small cities. New York City is our largest hostel, about 700 beds. Our smallest hostel has 5 beds. So we're in cities large and small, and the reason why we're in cities large and small is that we believe that when travelers come to the United States to see the real America, it can't just be in large cities. It needs to show the diversity of our country. And so High USA's central office is located in Silver Spring, Maryland, which gave us the opportunity to bring a number of staff down here. They've been working remotely to make this hostel happen. I'd like to specifically acknowledge several people on staff whose roles have been critical to this hostel. Helmut Ruckert, our Senior Vice President for Programs. Jim Rudinger, our Regional Vice President for the Southeast region. And I want to make sure everyone can see her, Katie Zackerly. Katie, come on up here. Katie has been instrumental. She's a Richmonder. She joined the team late 2014. She has been our public face in Richmond, and she is terrific. So Katie, thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Dwight C. Jones. He's been an active public servant in the city of Richmond for over 35 years. Throughout his tenure, he has entrenched himself in the social and political realms of the city. He has worked for causes that positively affirm his beliefs and efforts that uplift not only his immediate constituency, but the city and the state at large. Mayor Jones has diligently advocated for the economic empowerment for those who are not in the mainstream. He's been instrumental through his various board appointments and other community investments in creating positive change. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Jones.
Well, thank you so much, Russ, and what a delight it is to be here today, and what a wonderful day this is for the city of Richmond as we dedicate and as we cut the ribbon for this hostel. This is new for the city of Richmond, and we're excited about its presence in this community. I was just talking to the chairman, and he said something that I thought was very appropriate. He said this is the right time, the right place, and the right facility. And I think it is the right time because we live in a very difficult time in the world today, and we need places like this where people can learn from each other, can share with each other, where diversity can be appreciated, where different cultures can blend, and where we can create a more tolerant society. So this is definitely the right time. It's definitely the right place because Richmond is really on a roll. You might have heard that we're getting ready for a little teeny tiny bike race in a few days. And we're on a roll that is putting us in a global posture as we really begin to have a world presence. And we're looking forward to hundreds of thousands of people coming here. And so this hostel opens up at the exact right time. But it's also the right time because Richmond is really coming into its own as a global community. This is not your mother and father's Richmond. Richmond has grown into a wonderful, resurgent place where there is a lot of excitement, and I know that people who come and are a part of this hostel, who stay here, will be able to be a part of this wonderful cultural district that the hostel is located in. And they are so close to all of the wonderful attractions that our city has to offer, our museums and our shops, our wonderful restaurants, and we know that they're going to experience a wonderful time while they are here. But it's also the right facility, you know. When it was asked how many of you have been in a hostel, I couldn't raise my hand. I've never been in one before. But I have to admit to you, this is not what I had in mind. When I thought of hostels, I had something absolutely different in mind. I didn't think it would be like the Quirk Hotel that's going to open in a few minutes, in a few days, but I did think that it was a little bit more stark, not as cool as this place appears to be. And so this is the right facility, and so we're delighted that the hostel is here. We look forward to welcoming guests from all over the world as they come to see this city. And I look forward to cutting the ribbon on this wonderful facility. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Mr. Mayor, I've got to say that we've opened many hostels, and we've worked with many city governments. And we have found the folks that we've worked with the Richmond city government to be very thorough, which is their job, but amazingly professional, amazingly committed, and unlike some cities, friendly. Richmond is, I think, one of the things that I've taken away from my numerous visits to Richmond are two things. One is the people of Richmond love your city. And secondly, the people of Richmond are incredibly warm and friendly, and we appreciate that. Thank you, sir. We've also had a good amount of donor support from Richmond, and I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge some of the donors that have been so important to us. There are both individuals and foundations from the Richmond community that I'd like to specifically acknowledge. And I'm just going to read some important names here, important to the community and important to the hostel. Matthew Goodwin, Doug Pick, Mr. and Mrs. James Ukrop, and Ted and Katie Ukrop. Folks, thank you very much. We've also received some important foundation support. And I'd like to specifically acknowledge the support of the MWV Foundation, particularly Kathy Strawn, Morgan Trust and Sarah Tay, and the Mary Morton Parsons Foundation, Amy Niesenson. Let's give them a hand as well. A thing that's, I think, unusual about our organization, maybe not that unusual, but certainly it's unlike many of the organizations, nonprofit organizations that I'm familiar with, is that we have received a good amount of financial support from outside of the Richmond community to make this hostel happen. These are people who believe in the power of the hostel mission, the power of travel, and I'd like to acknowledge them, their support as well. These are a combination of folks that live in Maryland, in the District of Columbia, and Virginia, as well as far away from as California. John Russell. John? John's support led to the naming of this common room as the John Russell Common Room. So John, thank you very much. Bernie and Charlotte Leroy. Bernie, can we just say, Bernie, thank you very much. Linda and Larry Black. Linda and Larry, thank you. Gary Kerner, and our California supporters who are not here today, Norma, Eugene, and Kristen Sturl. So these are the folks that made this happen. It's my pleasure now to introduce my boss. Glenn Azuma is the board chair of Hosteling International USA. In his professional life for over 30 years, he's engaged in the development and investment in real estate, primarily in the Chicago market, first as an attorney and later as a developer and investor for his own account. As you will learn, he came to the organization because of his own travels. And I'm happy to say he's been my board chair for more years than I can ever be grateful for. So Glenn Azuma, please.
Russ, with that introduction, as far as I'm concerned, you've got the job for a long, long time.
That's what I want.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm just delighted to be with you in the opening of this terrific building. You all have made the Richmond Hostel possible through your generous support of time and money. So why did you do it? You did it because I think each one of us has a story of how travel changed our lives. My story is pretty simple. I was a kid from New Jersey who'd never been on a plane until my sophomore year in college. And for a college graduation gift, my favorite aunt gave me a round-trip ticket from New York to London. That was it. She got me there and she got me back, but everything else was for me. I spent 6 months traveling through Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. And in that time, I traveled local buses, packed minivans, trains, and just about every mode of transportation you can imagine, including hitchhiking. In that time, I stayed with students in Algeria. I worked at kibbutz in Israel, picking grapefruit. I discovered that in Istanbul at the time, you could get a dormitory bed for 50 cents a night, not one of our hostels. But the selling point was there were no bugs. In any case, it was one of those experiences that you have once in a lifetime. And what I learned is that you can be alone on the road and not be lonely. I learned that when you travel, something almost always goes wrong, and for the most part, you can make it right. And I also learned that strangers can be friends and not enemies. So these are some of the life lessons that have brought me here. Our mission is to help all, especially the young, gain a greater understanding of the world and its peoples through hosteling. And we work to fulfill this mission by intercultural exchange programs and educational travel programs that include participants from other countries and from our own neighborhoods. Our networks of hostels provide venues for our programs and safe and affordable places for American travelers and foreign travelers to stay. Our hostels range from a 41-bed lighthouse hostel at the Point Reyes National Seashore Park to the 667-bed hostel in the Upper West Side of New York City. We offer kind of a breadth of experience through large and small, rural and urban hostels so that our travelers really get a sense of what the true American experience is. Our hostels are deeply involved in local community outreach, and we really hope that this will be an opportunity for the Richmond Hostel to be a focal point for the Richmond community to embrace what we do. An example of this is since 2003 in Chicago, we've had a program that's called the Exchange Neighborhoods. It pairs schools and communities of different backgrounds in experiential learning that culminates in a one-day presentation and overnight in our Chicago hostel. The participating schools recognize this program as providing 30 to 40 hours of community service required for graduation. And since 2012, we've had 719 students participate in this program. Another program is our Cultural Kitchen, and this culminates in local high school students preparing a meal of the country that they've studied and shared with all of the guests in the hostel. And this may be one of the few opportunities that some of these students will have to meet someone from another country. We found in Chicago that some of our students had never been to the Louvre and never seen Lake Michigan. So it's our hope and it's our purpose to expand the horizons of our own children, as well as give foreign visitors a better understanding of who we are as a country. Hi USA is a part of a 90 national association that provides lodging throughout the world. And as part of that network, we're engaged in a number of multinational programs of exchange. One of those is IOU Respect, and it's in its 10th year. It's a 2-week intensive program that involves 12 to 23-year-olds from 6 countries: the United States, Egypt, France, Germany, Lebanon, and Tunisia. And the location of each exchange rotates among the participating countries. Under the guidance of trained counselors, the participants explore cultural differences, biases, and seek to understand their differences. With our international affiliation, we're a gateway for Americans traveling abroad and foreigners traveling in the U.S. The heart of what we do is really supported by over 2,000 very active volunteers who engage our guests by introducing them to an America that's not the Kardashians and it's not Chicago gangsters. And what they do is they take groups, as an example, to off-Broadway shows, to visit the boroughs other than Manhattan in New York. They run architectural walking tours in Chicago. They help repair the rural hostels. And in general, they provide an experience of American life in ways that paid tours can't. These experiences are revelatory to American travelers as well as visitors from abroad. We believe that barriers to understanding and acceptance can be broken down by friendships that are formed in our common kitchen, in our common rooms and in our dormitory rooms, as well as our formal programs. And I'm confident that the Richmond Hostel will give thousands of young Americans and foreign travelers stories that will change their lives. So I hope you'll join with us to make the Richmond Hostel an important part of the Virginia community and the international community as well. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Jim Ukrop. He's a Richmond native, an active alumnus of William & Mary. He has served as the chairman and CEO of Ukrop's Supermarkets and the chairman of First Market Bank. He has been a generous supporter and provided important leadership to the creation of this hostel, and we're deeply grateful to him and are delighted that he's with us today. Jim?
Thank you very much, Glenn. It's a pleasure to have you here in Richmond with us, and you're coming into, as the mayor said, a global community. And I think this hostel sort of puts us on the global map. And I've been told, and I really believe this, we're going to have a lot of young people from around the world that are going to come here and stay. And when they get a little bit older, and I learned this from my good friend Faye Hager, if you ever want to get anything done, just call Faye, because she's the most persistent person I've ever talked to. But anyway, she's a doer, not a talker. And Doug Pick, who obviously played a big role in this. But anyway, these young folks are going to come back someday and stay in our most expensive hotels. And so I think this is not only an opportunity, an economic development opportunity, it's not only a programmatic opportunity, it was just described, but to me this is something that we're very, very blessed. And my numbers may not be correct, but this is about a $2.6 million project. And all those wonderful people from around the country in the international, I guess the national organization here, put up $2 million for this project. So as Richmonders, we only have about $600,000 involved. Not quite 600, because we're still missing $45,000. And I'll give it to the highest bidder. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. So I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge folks that made this building happen, and in yet a different way. They're the folks that designed the building, that surveyed the building. They're our owner's rep, our contractor, as well as two extraordinary staff people working for High USA. I'd like to acknowledge Bruce Shirley, Claire Shirley, Jim Lee, and Wilson Enoch. Can we have a hand for them, please? This hostel is one of the finest in the world, and the reason why it's one of the finest in the world is that we took everything that we learned from the operations of our 50 or so other hostels, and we put it in this building. It took folks to be able to take those ideas and translate them into this hostel, as well as to work with the individuals that I cited earlier. There's a plaque on the wall over there, and it's got both of their names on that plaque. One is not able to join us today, Aaron Chapey, who's the Vice President for Hostel Development at High USA. But one is, and that is John Cannon. John Cannon. John Cannon put his heart and soul into this project, working on the smallest details to make sure that this old elevator manufacturing plant building became one of the finest hostels in the United States. Thank you, John. It's now my opportunity to introduce Rita McClenley. Rita serves as the President and CEO of the Virginia Tourism Corporation, a state agency charged with marketing the Commonwealth as a premier travel destination and film location. In this capacity, she oversees the agency's $25 million budget and 128 employees. From 1991 to 2012, she worked to recruit and expand film production in Virginia as the director of the Virginia Film Office, a division of the Virginia Tourism Corporation. Rita, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Russ. Welcome to Hi, Richmond. It's a delight to be here, and Hi, Richmond is certainly a wonderful new property and asset in what will be a location and destination for what is known as a world-renowned brand for Hi. Their guests are well-traveled, curious, and they want to come to a place where they can connect with others and truly create that sense of community. And that will in turn make Richmond a richer place. So this is one more reason that Richmond is easy to love. And this location is evidence that Richmond is a global city, one that's bursting with creativity, with culture, and with vitality. And all of us are here as a part of that excitement and a part of that enthusiasm that we all bring every day. And when we travel, and how great Richmond is, and inviting people to come and be with us and to share our beautiful city. And when we talk about all of our amazing assets, from the arts, music, sports, of course history, and culinary. The Today Show said, Richmond, a culinary hotspot, Departures Magazine, the next great American food city, and of course Esquire Magazine naming Virginia the food region of the year. So all of these reasons are what will create a legacy for visitors into the future. And legacy is the new luxury. So this historic property, matching it with a contemporary experience that people will have when they discover the new Richmond, is something that we are all very proud of and can be proud of for a very long time. Virginia Tourism, we look forward to working with our partners at the City of Richmond, Anita Bourne in tourism, Jack Berry, Richmond Region Tourism, Eric Terry at Virginia Hospitality Travel Association, and certainly the management here at Hi. That's what we do every day, and that's why Virginia is for Hi lovers. Governor McAuliffe talks about the new Virginia economy, and tourism is a great and an essential part of that. So as we turn on the revenue engine and do all the things, Mayor, that creates a city that you build and that all of us build, members of the General Assembly, members of the Governor's Cabinet, it's an extraordinary place to be at this time. Yes, the UCI Cycling Championship will come right by the doorsteps. NASCAR this weekend. Richmond is hot. Yes, so thank you. Richmond is for Hi lovers.
Actually, Rita has energy. Rita has energy, and I'm going to tell you a little story. This is the second time I've met and seen Rita. The first time was at a meeting in Lansdowne Resort where there were tourism officials from around the United States. And she gave some remarks at that meeting that were equally enthusiastic about both the state as well as the region. So you're lucky to have Rita. Thank you, Rita, for the remarks. I appreciate it. It's now my pleasure to introduce LeVar Stoney, who was sworn in as the Secretary of the Commonwealth in January 2014. He's the first African American to hold this post and is the youngest member of Governor McAuliffe's cabinet. Among the various office's various duties, Mr. Stoney assists the governor in his appointments of nearly 4,000 individuals to serve on Virginia's boards and commissions and the restoration of civil rights to ex-offenders. Ladies and gentlemen, LeVar Stoney.
Well, thank you, Russ, for that introduction, and good afternoon. Oh, you guys could do better than that. I mean, look, Rita was up here, y'all giving her like standing ovations and everything. Well, good afternoon. Yeah, okay. Day in and day out, Governor McAuliffe talks about building that new Virginia economy. If you're with him every day like Rita is, the mayor is, Lamont, Delegate Bagby is, he talks about the fact that we brought in $7,745,000 in capital investment into the Commonwealth of Virginia. And although we are proud of our economic prowess, we are most proud of what we've done on social justice and also diversity and in breaking down barriers. That's why it's great to be here at High Richmond today, because I was able to have lunch with Russ and he was able to talk about the values of High USA, the value of actually breaking down those barriers and actually getting in that communal kitchen, rubbing elbows with people you've never met a day in your life. It kind of reminds me of college. A kid who grew up in Yorktown, Virginia, I knew nothing about Richmond. I knew nothing about Northern Virginia. But when I got to college, I understood where other people came from and their backgrounds and things that they valued. That is exactly what High Richmond will provide to visitors from all across the world. When I was in college, I felt like I was a freshman twice. I was a freshman, and then I was a RA. And we lived in dorms very, very similar to this. And I'll tell you this, I'd like to be an RA again, if possible, right here at High Richmond. Russ, I was thinking about this. It's almost like, if you guys are old enough, you remember Real World? It's like we could shoot Real World Richmond right here in this building. We may, who knows, maybe one day, you never know. But, it's great that we have the bike race coming to town in a couple weeks. I know the countdown is on there. But we get an opportunity to bring the world to Richmond. And this will be a permanent project here in Richmond, a permanent project here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We get to share the values of Richmond and the values of Virginia with the world. And I think that's something that we all can be proud of here as Richmonders, but also mostly as Virginians. So on behalf of Governor McAuliffe, I have a letter, some words from him. If you can bear with me real quick as I read this quick letter from our fantastic Governor, Terry McAuliffe. Dear friends, I'm pleased to extend a warm welcome to everyone attending the grand opening of High Richmond. High Richmond joins a network of 40 hostels managed by Hosteling International USA, a nonprofit organization that seeks to foster a deeper understanding of people, places, and cultures through travel. Located in the former Otis Elevator building across from the Richmond Public Library, High Richmond will provide travelers and local community members with travel-based experiences, educational programs, and cross-cultural engagement opportunities. I am confident that High Richmond will help build a new Virginia economy and offer visitors to the Commonwealth the opportunity to experience all that Richmond has to offer: cultural and historic sites, recreational opportunities, and major colleges and universities. I commend High Richmond's organizers, volunteers, and supporters for all that they do to strengthen the Commonwealth of Virginia. Best wishes on a successful opening. Sincerely, Terry McAuliffe. Welcome, High Richmond.
Obviously, he was a very good luncheon partner. I'd like to wrap up just with a few comments and one more acknowledgement. There was a troika of folks, Richmonders, that about a year or two ago got very involved with the Richmond Project and enabled us to let folks know within Richmond what a hostel truly was and what our plans for this Richmond hostel and our vision for this Richmond hostel was. And I'd like to introduce them now. It's my pleasure to thank Faye Hager, Jay Paul, and Doug Pick. Folks, can you wave, please? There's Doug back there, and Jay, where's Thank you. Thanks, all three of you. So, I think it is a little unusual for an organization to fund 2/3 of a project, but we funded 2/3 of this project because we believed that Richmond was a community that can support a hostel, and we had terrific volunteers and donors in Richmond who helped make it happen. In many ways, we're stewards at the national organization of the mission, and now we turn this hostel over to you. It's really up to you, in large part, what you make it. We hope that the programs that we have and developed domestically will be of interest to the people of Richmond. That will be up to the people of Richmond as to whether which programs are adopted and which aren't. And we're the sort of organization that has a very open mind around innovation. So to the extent that you can develop, like the Chicago hostel developed, exchange neighborhoods, and we can replicate that across the United States, even the better. The bottom line is this hostel is an opportunity. And we're happy to be part of the Richmond community and happy to be here today. And thank you very much for your support. Thank you. So now we have the cutting of the ribbon.
3, 2, 1, go ahead and give it a cut.
They're not good.
Oh, they're not-
Sorry. They were cutting these plants early.
That was it. There you go. Let's do it. All right, here we go.